going to move on to item 6.8, our 9:25 a.m. We are not quite on time, but we'll get there. Consideration and presentation of the Lake County Community Foundation. Please come on up. And Supervisor Pyska, would you like to introduce this item? And you can come to these seats as well. Whichever one you choose.
Well, I'm delighted that you're here. And I have to be honest, this is the first time that we've met. We've been hearing about the great work that you've been doing, and Supervisor or Chair Sabatier and I have been really cheering you on. This has been a need for a long, long time in our community, so I'm really looking forward to the presentation, and I'm looking forward to our long-lasting future relationship.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity for us to introduce Lake County Community Foundation. I'm Annette Maloney, serving as the Executive Director, and with me this morning is my colleague Chuck Barron, who is our Director of Operations. We're delighted to be here today and eager to share more about the Foundation. I'd like to begin with that a community foundation is so important to local communities in good times and in disasters, such as Red Cross spoke about. They have been a great partner with us, and we appreciate everything that they do for us and with us. I'd like to share a little bit of our background and why we started the foundation. I hold an MBA and have over 25 years of construction experience. Chuck has over 40 years of experience in construction and has been rooted in the Lake County community for over 20 years. Chuck and I started working together when I accepted a position at Adventist Health Clear Lake Hospital as a project manager. There we did many projects, hospital and clinic renovations, but I think the most important job that we did was when we built the Hope Center. That really ignited a shared passion to do more for Lake County when we did that. So in the early summer of 2023, when we were approached about opening a foundation, we were very excited. We felt this was the next step into making a difference, and so we gladly accepted. And in August of 2023, we opened the doors, and we were able to realize our vision and our passion in opening that. We have a common thread in speaking with other county leaders that there's a lack of housing, and we've seen that. There's an extreme lack of housing. There is a need for a workforce program where we can train people for jobs. And so we really want to make that difference for Lake County, and we feel that we have the ability, and it's wonderful working with the county and all of our partners that we have. I'm going to pass this over to Chuck now, who is going to give some more specifics about the foundation. And once again, we extend our gratitude for welcoming us here this morning.
So I want to begin. I've pared this down for the sake of time and for your sake. So my father always said, the mind doesn't comprehend more than the seat can endure. So I do want to tell a couple of small things. We were actually born years ago, and Annette doesn't know this, but in front of one of her clinics, it was winter. And my wife says, we have to be helpful. And the guys, it was in a storefront, and the guys would get there early and they made coffee. And of course, there were people who were using the awning outside as a home. So we esoterically provided coffee, and when we knew weather was going to be bad, we would run up to Walmart and get blue tarps and blankets. And I know I'm not supposed to tell this stuff because I'm sure we weren't supposed to do that. But it was good. It was good. And that was my foray as I was matriculating into Lake County as we were moving to Middletown. And we love it. And there's lots of stories. There were business leaders who were involved in other community foundations, 501c3 housing authorities, who had come to us during the construction of the Hope Center and said, this is not going to be successful if you guys don't have a way of obviously you figure out how to graduate people, but they have to go somewhere and you're going to have a real bottleneck. And so when we came into this thing, we were thinking about housing, and we got together with a group of people in the city of Clear Lake. We had some business leaders, and we talked about ideas, but it just didn't go anywhere. And then sometime later, we ended up in a meeting with Nick and Gabby and Pastor Shannon, and they started talking about what we could actually do to make a difference. And I talked with my wife, and then all of a sudden things came out of my mouth that I couldn't put back in. And we were, perhaps we should start a housing authority. We see the need. Well, the county already has that. That's their lane. So Nick, it was pointed out, let's broaden this thing a little bit because of all the needs. So we did, and we started the Lake County Community Foundation. So there's like 4 things that we really see. We can, all of the housing questions the workforce development idea always kept coming up, and NCO's involved in that, and there are lots of folks who are doing that, but we can't help but want to put your fingers in that pie a little bit, and I think we can be helpful there. There's the housing question, and I wrote these down so I wouldn't forget. Probably there's one that really stands out, and it was the bait and the hook that reeled me in earliest. There was no fiscal agent in Lake County to receive funds, and after the fires, I told someone the other day, I said, it took me a while to come to Middletown after the fires, and I couldn't speak for 30 minutes. I couldn't even talk. And I thought, well, there's aid, there's things. And to find out that because there was no fiscal representative, all of your money went to Sonoma County. Our money. I live here, and this is my community. And our money went to Sonoma County and not to Lake County. So we have to do this. And then the 4th thing, and equally as important, we just want to provide a round table to bring leadership together, to really begin to discuss ideas and talk about honestly moving the needle. And I mean that when I say that. I'm not real big on meetings. I have a harder time with that. I'm more of a doer, but I'm learning. But we need to get folks together because thank you so much for a host letting us be here today to present to you. I can now put names to faces because every idea, every one of you guys, your names have come up in looking at potential projects, and this person would be really helpful. This is a person you need to talk to, and we're very grateful to you for that. So I'm not going to say a whole lot more. We are ready to be interrogated. We'll be as transparent as we possibly can be, and we really do mean to help. One of the things, it comes out in some of the meetings with department heads at the county. There was a meeting in Middletown at the Tribe, and I remember you have to get past the initial part where people are looking at you like, get to it. And it took me a while to realize what they were really saying was, and what's in it for you? Honestly, this is what we want to do. And we just want to come alongside and lend support. And I think that's what a good community foundation does. Everybody has their ideas about it, but that's our heart. So.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And it's not an accident that we had following the Red Cross here today. We've been planning this for a couple of months. But I'm really glad that you talked about the fiscal side of this, because that really has been the missing piece through all of our disasters. The funding that comes in on, for a major disaster, a national declaration, there's a lot of funding that comes funneled into a community, but there has to be a fiscal agent to receive it. And you're absolutely right. We don't know where any of that money went. And it did not come back to Lake County. It went other places. And that happened, and we just have to accept that. But as we build the COAD, and we have the climate team in here from Red Cross, and we do all that really proactive work, this has been the missing piece. And so I'm so grateful to you all for standing up, because this is how we build the sustainability for all of these programs that we really need the public-private partnership to make happen, to activate, to see successes. None of us can do this alone. And so I'm so glad, I'm so grateful that you're here today and that you put the hard work into developing this, because it has been a need that all of us have been talking about for years and years and years. If only we had a community fund, then we would have access to a lot more resources. So thank you.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate that things move slower in this world than I'm accustomed to coming from the marketplace, but it hasn't been all bad, because with we get a certain amount of I don't want to so Red Cross has been very great about making sure that we're doing this and not them, so that this is sustainable for years and years to come. But they're a wealth of knowledge, and they know how to point us in the right direction, because one of the things, I hate to bring this up, but in order to be a responsible fiscal agent, I told Annette, I said, I don't care what happens. I just want us to be squeaky clean, because I don't want to answer those kind of questions and know that we're not squeaky clean. And we've been able to use this year to make the right connections, get the right accounting, get the right software, and our friends in Calistoga who have their housing authority. He said, "What are you using?" And well, we're using QuickBooks. You can't do that. And they schooled us, and we've been really fortunate. Lots of resources. Lots of folks have come out and just been very supportive and helped us. This is what you need to do, so you can be in it for the long haul and not have a bad circumstance. So I know you're probably not supposed to talk about that, but I'm just being honest.
Well, transparency is very important.
Yeah, I know. So because but it was really hard when I saw the numbers that you actually deal with. It was wow. This is big. We went to join we were trying to join all the proper agencies and cal.gov, all those things you have to do, the League of California Community Foundations, and we tried to join the country club there, and we found out that we couldn't join that club yet because you need $10 million in your bank account and a few other things. I thought, well, we're not there yet. But if you're giving out donations, we'll take those. So,
Supervisor Green.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. You had me at responsible fiscal agent, and for those just tuning in, it's hard to explain why I get excited. Oh, MBA, maybe you got an accountant.
Yes.
We live in a community of doers, and so when we herd the cats together and we try to do good things, putting together a foundation like this, a real 501c3 that's governed as such, that's hard. And we have so many nonprofits in our community that are small and struggling, coming out of COVID and all that. And it's not for lack of doers, it's lack of expertise in the governance side of things. One reason I'm excited is because on the Lakeport side, there had been smaller discussions about the need for a community foundation. And so I do want to encourage you to do some outreach with the City of Lakeport, the City Manager, Mayor Froyo, and Councilmember Matina, just to introduce yourself and explain what your vision is. Do you have any baby steps of like a mission statement or a website, or where people can kind of wrap their heads around about what your longer term vision is? Because I hear housing, that's very important, but also mini grants to some of our struggling nonprofits and stuff like that. There's so much you can do with a foundation. It's such a big subject. So where can people kind of wrap their head around what your initial steps are going to be, your initial next steps?
We do have a website. It's lakeccf.org. There you can read our mission statement, our vision, and you can reach out with any questions on that site as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from board members? So appreciate the time that we had yesterday for the brief moment we were there. There are just a couple of things that I brought up. So I've been trying to craft a community foundation for a while. I have failed to do so. I brought it to Hope Rising multiple times saying, I feel like we are a representation, a cross-section of the community. This might be a good fit. I'm sure they're going to be happy I stopped bringing that to them. But it's been something that's been on my mind. I had lunch one day with the CEO or the president of Sonoma County Community Foundations, who mentioned how much they received from the fires that were supposed to be dedicated for Lake County. And so one of the things that I suggested yesterday, Senator McGuire is very much in tune with the community foundations, has helped us out in the Cash Fire by going to the League of Community Foundations, getting us some of those part of the $300,000. I believe $200,000 of that came through the community foundations to help pay for hotel vouchers after the aftermath of that fire. So he's very well connected. I know at one point when I was trying to figure out how to get it started, I believe it was either Napa County or Marin County was offering to come to Lake County to help us, or at least help the executive group that would be leading the charge of the community foundations to get started. So I think that those were some of the suggestions that I provided yesterday, is have those conversations, see if Sonoma County can take you under their wing, knowing that they've received some of our money and maybe they're able to provide some sort of financial connection or assistance or cosign, whatever the case might be. So those were some of the suggestions, and obviously made sure that whether it's Lakeport, the tribes, or the city of Clear Lake, or Lisa Judd and our administrative staff, to make sure and check in with all of those individuals. Housing, we've already made that a priority for us. We're expanding our administrative office with a housing manager with strategic plans. You can't have economic development without housing, and you can't have housing without a plan. It doesn't just happen organically, especially in a community like this where we struggle to bring in developers to take interest in wanting to develop in our communities. So I'm looking forward to what this looks like. Yes, it's going to take many, many steps in order to take that full stride and becoming an official part of the League of Community Foundations, but I think those types of visions and those types of expectations should be set, because that's when it really opens itself up to being really the attractive community foundation that has international and national advertisement of this is where you can place trusted donations to help the community. And as Supervisor Green mentioned, it's such a broad swath of things that community foundations can support, from education to seniors to emergency preparation to all kinds of things, housing. And so I'm excited to see what happens. I have no issues or qualms with your priorities that you've set for yourselves. I think it aligns with everyone else. I know the city of Lakeport has been working on housing. The city of Clear Lake has been working on housing. Let's continue those efforts and make sure that we find the successes by all working together and not working separately in silos. So appreciate you speaking to the board, and looking forward to more interactions and more successes in the future. Is there any further comments? Supervisor Simon?
Yeah, just want to say nice to meet you. I've heard about it. I tried to look at the website and get some information, when I first heard about it. Jessica, I think you were the one who said, hey, did you hear? I never heard of the foundation until it was mentioned. So appreciate seeing your faces, you coming here today and talking about the vision that you want to do forward. But action speaks louder than words. At least you're here in front of us. You're creating an organization that we can all kind of learn about, work together to grow. But having that Lake County Foundation, you said it very well. We needed those fiscal agents, after the Valley Fire, and we know a lot of funds were funneled to Sonoma, the Redwood Credit Union, some other agencies. They did make their way back into Lake County, maybe not all of them, but I know There were many organizations that came through and donated throughout it, but that was the conversation as we had earlier. The quad wasn't set up, that communication, that, all the pieces in place. So hopefully we can help grow and work together on things, but appreciate it because it is great to see, and it's great that you're living down in Middletown, obviously, but, we'll go from there. So, we'll just continue the growth and the opportunity. But as you've heard me say many times, telling our own story, having our own Lake County Foundation will give us an opportunity. And I know it's early on in, your guys' organization and how we support it, I think will be long-term conversations we have with the CAO, the rest of the staff here. So, and you're talking about priorities, housing. Everyone's working on it. Every government in this county is working on housing because there is a need, and we know that there's an opportunity. Growth is coming to Lake County. I've said it many different times. You're going to be moving out of the Bay Area. They're going to be coming this way. Housing sales are still strong here in Lake County. We have a beautiful, beautiful place, and the next decade's going to be something that we really got to manage as we grow. So glad to meet you.
Thank you.
And my card's over there, in there. You got my email. Let's have conversations and see how it's good. One suggestion I would have as you're growing is to hit the advisory councils we have around the lake. There's, we got almost one in every district, I think. I don't know what happens in Clear Lake, but eventually there may be one in Clear Lake. But you have many different community advisory groups that really get you in touch with the folks that are, right there in town doing what we need to do. So the advisory councils would be something else that I'd familiarize yourself with.
Thank you.
All right, let's open it up for public comment. Anyone from the public wish to speak?
Good morning. Uriah Turner, Community Development Director. I've already had a really exciting discussion with Mr. Barron regarding housing, and the questions that he was asking when he came to the counter were just really intriguing and invigorating, and I ended up spending a couple hours this weekend going over state law and housing policy, and so I encouraged him to be aware as we go through the local area plan updates, which are specific to land use and housing and zoning. But what I didn't let them know is that the Lake County Community Foundation is totally on my list of people to make sure that I drag in for input. So because I think their boots on the ground experience will be very valuable as we work on our community visioning process for the next 20 years. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any further comment from the public? I see none in the chamber and no hands up on Zoom. Again, thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you for introducing yourself, not just to us, but to the general public as well. And looking forward to further communication and conversations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.